First of all, my name is Rich Warren. I'm the manager for Mike and Nicole Hanford Packing Company. I've been with the company for 53 years. The things that I really need to know when a person comes in to purchase a half a beef or a whole beef or a quarter are the things that we're going to talk about. First of all, the steaks. The standard thickness on the steaks is 3/4 of an inch thick, and we can go thicker or thinner. My preference is 3/4 of an inch. It seems like it's a good standard thickness. You can have a nice rare steak if you want, or if you want one well done, you can do that with a 3/4 inch steak. That's my preference. Now, some people choose to go to an inch or 1.25 inches on their steaks, but that's totally up to the person that's ordering the beef. So first of all, the sirloin steak, that's your biggest steak. It'll weigh 1.5 to 2 pounds each at 3/4 of an inch thick. You'll have possibly six of those, and then out of those 6 sirloin steaks, there would be a couple of those that would be boneless sirloin, which it's a very good steak. It's old school. It was the pin bone steak. It comes right out of the middle of the beef loin. It's in between your sirloin and your porterhouse, so it's right in the middle. It's a very tender steak. Putting just one in a package is normally what we would do. And then the T-bones and the porterhouse and the rib steaks. Those would all be cut the same, 3/4 of an inch thick. And we may want 2 in a package or 1 in a package, kind of whatever the family needs are. If we save the porterhouse steaks, then there would not be any fillets. If we save the fillets, then you don't have any porterhouse steak. We can cut the fillet out of the beef loin, and by doing that, that gives you a few more steaks, meaning filet mignon, or leave it on the porterhouse. Then the other option you would have would be to take the rib steaks and leave the bone in it for the added flavor, or we can make them boneless for rib eye. My preference is rib steak with the bone in it. The bone adds flavor, and I think that makes a better steak. And the round steak, that's a tougher steak, and normally we cut that at a 1/2 inch thick because it is a tougher steak. And then we can, there's options with that. We can either leave it as round steak, or we can cut it into Swiss steak, which is like a pot roast. It's a thick cut round steak, about 1.25 inches thick. That would weigh about 3 pounds, roughly, 3 to 4. Then if they chose, they could make some of that into cube steaks, which are like a country fried steak, where it's cut into a bread-sized piece, and 4 pieces are usually put in a package, and that weighs about 1 pound. Now that can vary on the number of pieces in a package depending on the family's needs. And if they don't like any of that, then that can be put into their ground beef. That brings us then to the roast. We can either save a standing rib roast, or we can make that rib roast into a steak. Most people prefer to have the steak, so they don't take the option to make it into a roast. Then the rump roast, there's 1 rump roast out of a half a beef that weighs approximately 10 to 12 pounds. And then that can be cut into 3-4 pound roast or 5 pounds, whatever the family would want. Chuck roast. Normally we cut the chuck roast about 2 inches thick. That gives me a roast that's about 6 pounds, and then we cut it in half to make a 3 pound roast, which is about as big as a dinner plate. And then on the chuck roast, you're looking at probably a 3 pound average. You're going to have somewhere between, say, 6 blade chuck and then 2 or 3 arm chuck. The arm chuck roasts are the ones that have a small round bone in them. A lot of people opt to put that into their ground beef, and that's probably one of the poorer roasts that you would have. Then that comes to the brisket. Today, the brisket is very popular. A lot of people put them on their smokers at home, that kind of thing. The whole brisket on a half of beef would weigh somewhere between, say, 7 and 10 pounds. And we can leave it whole, or we could cut it into 2 pieces. Then the suit bones. Normally, the suit bones are about as big as your fist. There is some meat on them. If you'll use them, we would save them. If not, then we would trim that meat off the bone and put that into your ground beef. The beef short ribs, there too. If you'll use them, we would save them. If not, then we would trim that up for ground beef. Brings us down to the ground beef. By using up all the basic cuts, as we just spoke about, you would have approximately, say, 60 to 70 pounds of ground beef. And then we would need to know how big of a package you would want for a meal, whether it be a pound or a pound and a half, or a 2-pound package. We'd make it fit your family needs. Do a 1/3 pound patty, or we'd make a 1/4 pound patty. My preference is a 1/3 pound. I think it makes a nice juicy patty that way. And it's not overly big, for me anyhow. We can also make an 8-ounce patty, which is more like a hamburger steak. Not too many people ask for that, but it is an option. And then the other thing would be beef stew meat. If the family uses beef stew meat, we would save it. And it would be put in however big a package they would want for a meal, whether a pound, pound and a half, or 2 pounds. And normally on a half of beef, I might save 6 or 8 packages of beef stew. The sirloin tip roast, and that would come off of the round, which would make the round a little bit smaller. Instead of a 2-pound round steak, you may end up with a pound and a half. And that would give you another roast that would weigh maybe 6 pounds approximately. One more thing I might add would be, if you have any other questions, feel free to call us. We're here from 7 until 5. Again, my name is Rich, and Nicole is here, and she can take the information. My phone number here is area code 219-345-3755. Please call us, and we'd like to talk to you and hopefully make a new friend. That's my objective, and has been for over the past 50 years, to be a friend rather than a customer, and I think I've accomplished that. So, anything else, feel free to call. Thank you.